Welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. We're excited to bring you our latest episode. Your feedback is important to us, so please feel free to share your comments. Awesome. If you enjoy the podcast, spread the word to your friends. Alrighty, welcome to episode 31, season 2. Today we are going to talk about the myth of the stolen base. Myth. Really? Has the stolen base become more popular since the new rule changes in 2023? Yes. Major League Baseball has seen a significant increase in stolen bases since the implementation of the pitch clock and the other related rule changes during the 2023 season. It's produced a surge that is a direct result, of several interconnected rules that were, they were designed to speed up the game and inject more action. Now, the primary rule changes in increasing stolen bases, it's got to be the pitch clock, larger bases, and limitations on pitcher disengagements, pickoff attempts. Now, the pitch clock, which was set at 15 seconds with no runners on base and 20 seconds with runners on base, and that was reduced to 18 seconds in 2024. That forces pitchers to deliver the ball more quickly. Now, potentially making it harder for them to hold runners closer to the base. Batters must also be ready in the box by the 8-second mark. And the bags were increased from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. Diving into a bag and being safe just by a fingernail. Well, now you got 3 more fingernails, right? 3 inches more. That seemingly seems like a small change, but it does reduce the bag distances by 4.5 inches. So it makes that, last minute play pretty exciting, right? Now, perhaps the most impactful part of the new limit on pitcher is the disengagements from the rubber. So pitchers now are allowed only 2 disengagements. That's the official term, but it's a pickoff, right? Or step off per plate appearance. Now, a third disengagement results in a balk if they don't get the runner, if they don't get the runner out. And I never see the third throw. I think pitchers should use more and be more aggressive, because the leads have gotten aggressive, so they need to get bigger balls and go for that third pickoff. Well, the impact of these changes on stolen bases, they have. It's substantial. In the stolen base land of stats, it's increased to 1.8 steals per game, up from 1.4 in 2022. And the total number of stolen bases across the league, that rose from 2,486 attempts in 2022 to 3,503, which was the most since 1987. And it's funny that was, the most since that year, because the 80s pretty much was the era of the stolen base. And we'll get into that a little later. Now, pretty much the early data from 2024 suggests that the trend of increased stolen bases is continuing. But there's a little twist with that. Now, with teams attempting to steal more frequently than in 2023, and they want to maintain a high success rate, though. This indicates that players and teams are kind of adapting to exploit the new rules. But the running game is definitely a more prominent part. Now, all these results are very interesting, but it's all bullshit. Why? Hear me out. Major League Baseball created these rule changes in 2023 to get more excitement into the game and to increase the speed of the game. That was pretty much accomplished. But the stolen base is still an enigma. It is now a liability to steal bases. It is a new worry zone. Why am I saying this? Injuries. Let's face facts. Major league players are such pussies now. They're paid so much and players get hurt that they're becoming more specialized more than ever. Players now are concerned that they're going to get hurt. They are actually thinking of not getting injured on the bases. To me, that attitude has ruined the game of on the bases. Absolutely. I mean, are you kidding me with these stupid oven mitts? Every player now seems to put on to protect their hands while sliding. And 3/4 of the friggin' players don't know how to slide correctly in the first place. Jeez, watching friggin' Trey Turner slide into a bag is like watching perfection. But he is like one of the lone soldiers in that category. If you are thinking of an injury, more than likely you will get injured. So stolen bases, yeah, they've increased in recent years, which is good, I guess. But don't get too excited. We did not revert to the 1987 highs of stealing bases. That was an era where you had stolen base leaders year after year from the same players who made it their style of play to intimidate the pitcher and get him off his game to steal a bag, getting into scoring position. Now, players were out to create havoc, and they did. Players such as Ricky Henderson, Vince Coleman, Eric Davis, Tim Raines. Recognize some of those names? Are there players of their equivalent? Hell no! These players battled year after year for stealing the most bases. Stealing bases were a part of their game. Ricky Henderson, for example, who was the greatest leadoff hitter in the history of the game, and if you do not really know Ricky Henderson and how long he played and what he accomplished, go to my favorite website, baseballreference.com, and look up Ricky Henderson. Look how long he played, and he used his legs from the beginning of his career to the end. Well, in 1987, he had a typical year. He had 28 home runs, 74 RBIs. He scored 130 runs from the leadoff position. Now, he was basically incredible. Now, if you're wondering about stolen base leaders, in 1987, Vince Coleman actually led with 107. Ricky Henderson followed up with 87. Eric Davis was third with 80. Tim Raines was fourth with 70. And he only got caught stealing 9 times. So this list was pretty extensive. And these players were in it year after year, battling each other. Now, the 2024 stolen base leaders, I'm sure you'll know them, right? Ellie De La Cruz led with 67 stolen bases. Shohei Ohtani was second with 59. Bryce Turang of the Milwaukee Brewers was with 50. Jose Caballero of the Tampa Bay Rays, now of the Yankees, had 44. Jose friggin' Ramirez, 41 stolen bases. He surprises everybody. I mean, and he never gets caught. He's a great runner. You know, last year he stole 41 bases out of 48 attempts. Only got caught 7 times. You know, Jazz Chisholm was on the list with 40 stolen bases. Going down, Corbin Carroll, Duran Duran, and Victor Robles of the Mariners had 34 and was 10th in the 2024 stolen base leaders. Now, 2023, who'd we have? Wow, we got different names. Ronald Acuna Jr. stole 73 bases. Esteury Ruiz of the Oakland A's stole 67. Corbin Carroll, 54. Bobby Witt, 49. C.J. Abrams, 47. Nico Horner, 43. Julio Rodriguez stole 37. Now, where was Ellie De La Cruz? Oh, here he is. He stole 35 stolen bases. 2022 stolen base leaders. John Birdie of the Miami Marlins led the major leagues in stolen bases with 41. Jorge Mateo of the Baltimore Orioles had 35. Cedric Mullins of the Orioles had 34. Randy Arozarena had 32. Tommy Edman had 32. Trey Turner, 27. A little different names there, right? Well, what about the 21 stolen base leaders? Starling Marte with 47. Whit Merrifield with 40. Tommy Edman with 30. Cedric Mullins with 30. Miles Straw of the Cleveland Guardians had 30. There's that big speedster, Jose Ramirez. He had 27 out of 31 attempts. Shohei Ohtani had 26. Bo Bichette had 25. And Fernando Tatis rounded out the top 10 in stolen bases in 2021 with 25. So, who's leading right now? Well, we've got Jose Caballero of the Yankees with 40. Jose Ramirez, that speedster, with 36. Chandler Simpson of Tampa Bay Rays with 36. O'Neal Cruz with 34. Bobby Witt Jr., 32. Ellie De La Cruz, 31. So he went from leading the major leagues in stolen bases with 67 last year, 1 year removed from that, and he's down to 31. And this is what I'm saying. These players, they don't continue to steal bases. They'll try it for a couple years and pack it in. So who's the stolen base team leader, right? Are we stealing more as teams? Well, the Tampa Bay Rays, led with 162 stolen bases. And that was last year with 40 caught stealing. So they made about 202 attempts at steal base. Milwaukee Brewers was second with 137. The Cubs, 133. The Mariners, 130. Surprisingly, the Boston Red Sox were fifth with 108. And the Texas Rangers were also tied with fifth with 108. We had teams on this list like the Phillies, Nationals, Marlins, Guardians, Mets, even the Yankees. Yankees had 100 last year. But how did that compare to the era of the stolen base? Well, since it was brought up that last year was the most steals since 1987, let's go back to 1987. The St. Louis Cardinals led the major leagues with 248 stolen bases, and they got caught 72 times. The Padres were second with 198, with 91 caught stealing. The Brewers, 176. The Mariners, 174. The Cincinnati Reds, 169. The Montreal Expos, 166. The Houston Astros, 162. Hell, that is some list. There's a lot of stolen base there. Now, no one really wants to lead continually anymore. Players such as, what about Mike Trout? Now, he started his career stealing bases like crazy, right? Now, players such as Mike Trout has stated his days of stealing bases are over. Now, that's no surprise with his injuries, right? But basically, the reality is Matt Olson of the Braves steals more bases than Mike Trout now, who is known for his speed and his defense in the outfield and what he brought to a team. Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves stole 73 bases in 2023. But you will never see him approach that total again. Why? Because he has admitted that he's afraid of injuries since suffering 2 ACL injuries in recent years. Now, we may have improved the stolen base totals prior to 2023. But that part of the game is gone. It was a product of the 80s, and it has just been replaced. It's as simple as that. All right, now, all these stats are interesting, but what the hell do I mean by the myth of the stolen base? All right, most fans seem to like the stolen base, right? It's kind of exciting. Now, perhaps some even knew that the stolen base is not part of, pretty much every team's offensive attack anymore. Teams just do not steal as they did back in the stolen base era of the 80s. Now, how many teams steal over 125 bases in a season? Now, one. The 2024 Tampa Bay Rays, like I said previously, stole 162 bases. In 1987, we had 8 top teams. I read them already. The caught stealing was practically more than the actual steals of today. In 1987, the Giants were 15th in the league in steals with 126. But they also got caught 97 times. Wow. Well, today's analytics will not allow a team to get caught 97 times. They don't want that. Now, last year, the Diamondbacks were 15th in the league in steals with 92, and they only got caught 29 times. Teams do not steal now. They borrow the bag. They want a guarantee. So the idea that stealing bags is exciting and teams have to do it is quite honestly a myth. So, players are afraid to commit to the dedication required to be a base stealer now. They try it, maybe succeed for a couple of years, then they realize, hell no, this is wearing me out. I gotta make my money, and poof, what you see is a different leader year after year. So, sorry if I busted your bubble on supporting the stolen base. It just goes back to an old saying about the offensive team's approach. Chicks love the long ball. Yep. Steal a base or let Cal Raleigh connect for a 2-run home run. You tell me. I think this is a wrap for today. Thank you for joining us for our 31st episode of Season 2 of Mo's World, the Baseball Podcast. Our regular schedule for new episodes is every Friday, with each episode lasting approximately 20 minutes. We appreciate your support and encourage you to share the podcast with your friends. Our next episode will be released on Friday, August 29th. We look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, ask yourself, whose world is it? It's Mo's World.